Hello, listeners, and welcome to another Who Corner to Corner podcast. My name is Paul, and as always, I am joined by my rather creaky friend, Geoff. How you doing, Geoff?
Yeah, it was good. That was my knees.
Was that your knees? Yeah. Your knees are bending there. We're none of us getting any younger, that's for sure, but we are absolutely enjoying putting this podcast together.
Yes.
Aren't we?
Well, you're not getting any younger. It's your birthday.
No, I'm
today.
not. No, today is actually my birthday. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. You just have to guess from the youthful soundingness of my voice.
Yeah. Leave a comment. Let us know how old you think Paul is.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it could be quite upsetting. Or
He's
flattering.
459 at least. Well, who knows? I'll regenerate soon and then I'll be young again and it'll be fabulous. So what are we talking about today, Geoff?
We're going to talk about Doctor Who home media.
Oh, yes. Yes, we are indeed.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. And by home media, we mean DVDs, videos. Yeah, all that kind of thing. Yeah,
all of that sort of stuff. This has been inspired by the fact that my copy of the Season 2 collection set has arrived early.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Way before mine. And mine's not even... I think mine was due today. Possibly. No, mine's not due till next week, which is not a bad thing because the post office is on
they're rubbish,
strike.
aren't they?
They're on strike, mate, down here, which is really annoying because it's my birthday and I've only got 3 cards through the post.
Yeah, the strike is to blame.
I'm ringing people up and they say, I did send you a card. It's just, the post office is on strike, so you might not have received it yet. I'm a trusting soul. I get that. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Okay,
where did you order your collection set from?
I ordered it from a well-known online retailer, of which there are many. And I can't actually remember which one.
You're going to end up with multiple copies.
I might.
It
tends to happen. Yeah.
One of the others. Well, I do this thing where I order at Amazon and at Zavvi, and I sometimes do this for stuff that is limited because I get the art books for the Marvel films. And in the past, I've had Amazon tell me they haven't been able to fulfil the order, and it's been cancelled because it's a limited number made, and they can't get hold of it. So I always hedge my bets now by ordering at 2 different places. Actually, Amazon has ended up being quite good for the film books in the end, but previously Forbidden Planet was really good. So I ordered the collection at Zavvi and Amazon. Weirdly, the Zavvi release date was the 5th of December and Amazon's was the 12th. And the Zavvi one is shipped early, which they sometimes seem to.
So that's quite good. So you can cancel the other one.
Cancel the other one, yeah. Although sometimes it goes wrong and you get your confirmation of shipping emails like within 5 minutes of each other. So then you've got to deal with that. But usually it works out fine. So that's what I do to ensure that I'll get one.
Gotcha.
So yes, the season 2 has just come. So let's talk about the collection sets for a little bit, shall we? Because they are a thing of
beautiful
beauty, really.
They're lovely.
Yeah,
they're really nice.
The range has been going for 3 years.
I think it is 3 years.
Now?
Yeah, I'm trying to think when I got the first one, which was Tom Baker's season 12, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and now do you know with that one, I ordered it on Amazon. And then I thought, do I need it? No, I don't need it. So I cancelled it. Then I reordered it. And then I thought, it's quite a lot of money. I don't know if I really need this. So I cancelled it again. And then I did it about 3 or 4 times. And then I think I saw people, lots of people getting excited about it. And I think I was like, right, I'll order it. Because if I don't get it, I'll regret it. And then I got in, and then obviously, of course, it sold out, and then it was being sold for silly money on eBay, and I wish I'd just gone and ordered 2 of them now. But the mania for them isn't quite the same now, especially as they re-release them in standard packaging and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of calmed down a little bit.
It has a little bit, yeah. But maybe it was more than 3 years ago because it all slowed down a bit during COVID and stuff, and the releases were probably due to be further ahead than they are now.
Yeah, do you know what? Hold on.
Pull wheels
there will be a date probably on the back of this, 2018. So it's 4 years. 4 years ago.
4 years of it, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And we're about, halfway through now?
Halfway through what?
The releases.
Are we? Don't know, mate. I think we've got loads to go.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if there's 25 seasons, and how many are out? I mean, you'd need 12 and a half of those to be halfway through.
Yeah.
And we're not quite there yet, are we? I don't know. See, now you're asking questions that I haven't prepared for. So I'm gonna have to count. Hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 2 downstairs. That's 10, 11, and series 2 makes 12. Actually, oh yeah, okay. I'll let you off. We are about halfway through.
Yeah,
you just made me look foolish. That's fine. He does it all the time. Wow, we got 12 in already.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, it doesn't seem quite possible. So
how much money does that equal if they're 30, 40 quid a box? Some of these
40 quid. My son would know 40 times 12.
Yeah,
to be
honest, I don't really want to think about it.
No.
So let's not go down that route.
You know, you're not buying them all that regularly. There's only 3 a year. You know, and
roughly, yeah, they did slow down a bit during COVID, didn't they?
It did, yeah, because it was probably going to be like 1 a quarter, but it slowed down a bit. But I think they are well worth the money. You know, if you're a classic Who fan, or you want to get into it for the first time, they are the definitive versions of the releases, I think, and. The picture quality is really as good as it's going to get. I think they are filmed at they're 60 years old, some of them, and they're filmed on horrible video, and there'll never be any more data available within them.
No, that's it. So. You wouldn't get much with upscaling to 4K, really, would
you?
Well,
no, you wouldn't.
There's just not enough information.
No, it's not enough there. It would just look awful. So maybe in another decade or something, they'll start doing a 4K version of all of this. But really, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And so
mind you, I think they did say that about Blu-ray a little while ago when they released Spearhead from Space on Blu-ray, which they did because the original film negatives were of a sufficient quality and depth.
And that was that the only episode that was entirally or largely shot on film?
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
So they could do it.
Yeah,
so
they could do it. So whereas they said if you're taking it from I mean, in the 60s, it was less than. Was it about 405 lines on the TV?
Yeah, probably.
So it wasn't much at all, was
it? Video's only 586.
But now, of course, they're getting much better at putting more signal into the gaps, so as to kind of fill out. What's a? I mean, a 4K screen is 2160, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So if you're scaling up from 405 lines to 2,160 lines, there's an awful lot of information you've got to put in. Otherwise, it just breaks up and looks ridiculous.
Yeah,
the technology is getting better. So who knows?
It's possible, I suppose. Yeah, but it sort of feels a bit like you won't really get better than this, and you'd sort of be doing it unnecessarily if you start.
But anyway, at the moment, they are the definitive version,
and it looks great, good. I think. And so it's interesting now with series 2, season 2, just being the first Doctor set. And
have you watched any of those yet? Have you plugged it in yet?
No, I haven't yet. Only came.
See what it's like
yesterday. But I wonder what the release schedule is going to be like going forward, because obviously first Doctor and second, there's a lot missing. So I wonder whether they'll do, whether they'll reconstruct stuff. Obviously a lot of Second Doctor was being animated, so I wonder how they're going to do that, and maybe they'll end up being kind of the latter releases out of the whole lot.
Very possibly, yeah.
But then apparently they've scrapped the animation project at the moment, although Disney Plus are going to save everything.
I think they'll. I mean, they've used a lot of different animation companies to produce these things, haven't they? And I think. If memory serves, these companies sort of go in and out of business pretty frequently, but the staff seem to migrate from one company to another. So you'll have people who worked on one working on another one, sort of, I don't know, a few years down the line or something. That's the kind of impression I get from watching the extras on those things. Yeah,
it's not big companies doing it, and it takes them a long time. And I watched one doc about how they've made improvements in things on a couple of Second Doctor releases, up the animation quality, and made it better. And they're not brilliant in terms of like, they're not 3D animated, and they're not sort of.
They're not kind of Disney level, are they?
No, they're not even kind of hand drawn. Not just in like the look, but the way they're done. It's very kind of simple. The arms move up and down, sort of. Do you know what I mean? It's quite basic,
it's like moving felt shapes it's up and down, fuzzy. Like South Park style.
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, that's doing it a disservice. But actually, I mean,
no, and that's not putting it down. But what I mean is that it's quite simple, but that actually it works fine. And I'd rather that and it look nice, albeit simplistic, and we have it than not at all.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, because I never really got along with the telesnaps. These images that people took of their TV screen back in the day, as the only way to kind of record visually any sort of TV content, because once it was on, it was gone, and that was it. So they'd record the audio on a tape recorder, but the pictures would be literally taken on a SLR camera or something, and some were done professionally for the purposes of the BBC sort of selling these things onwards, and there was a whole bunch of them that were done on an amateur level as well, so literally just people at home doing these things. And whilst they're good, for me, because they're very static, aren't they? I mean, obviously they're just simple pictures, they're photographs, and they're filling a screen, and they're okay. I remember years ago when Doctor Who magazine printed a whole bunch of them, month after month. There was a whole bunch of these, and they look alright when they're on a printed page with a bit of a synopsis next to each one or two of these. But I do find it very difficult. So having the option to revisit these stories in animated form is really good. And I remember, I think the first one was the DVD of The Invasion, the Patrick Troughton story with the Cybermen, and that was in black and white, and I think that was done by Cosgrove Hall. And that was, like you said, it was very simple, basic animation, but it was really effective. What really sold it for me, for that one in particular, was the mood of it, the lighting, the angles, right, they're really, really dynamic. I was so impressed with it. I thought it was amazing. I loved it.
They've all been pretty good at that, capturing that black and white look to everything, and also I think some shots they do are based off of telesnaps, so there was kind of close to the angles sort of and stuff.
Visual reference to start from.
But I get what you mean about the telesnaps. It's sort of it's neither here nor there watching them, is it? But for a long time, that was the only way.
That was all it was.
I mean, imagine if people hadn't done that, hadn't taken those photos,
we'd have nothing.
No, it's
just our imaginations, really. Geoff. That's all we'd have to rely on.
I mean,
imagine that.
There was stuff. It's gone. And that is mad to think that they junked all of that stuff to save space.
Honestly,
but it's a bit like films back then and before then. It would go in the cinema. That was it.
And that was it. No foresight, no future planning, no thinking that actually things are going to get better. Like we're talking about, well, they're probably unlikely to upscale these things to 4K, but you never know.
No,
so you keep the negatives, you keep what you've got for future posterity.
There was no home media.
No, exactly, but junking these things, that's. And I'm sorry to say it for all the accountants out there, but that is an accountant's decision. That is somebody looking at the balance of space versus profit versus loss versus stuff that is not generating any cash. It's just taking up space, and they say, right, if we wipe that out, we can fill it with something that actually brings in some money or something. And they ascribe no value to that because they don't have the imagination to look forward a decade or so and think, do you know what? This could have a future. We could make some money out of this.
I think that was probably, the decision to junk stuff was a shocker, but to not have any foresight about future usage was probably not unsurprising in a way. I mean, Disney used to re-release their films every couple of years, and they've kind of got the home video market sorted. They'll hype up the release of The Lion King. and then it won't come back out for 7 years. By which point, a new generation of kids have grown up and can buy into it and stuff. And that's worked really well. And they don't do so much of the cinema re-releases now, because they don't really need to. But it sort of builds a hype and must get that. But yeah, junk in the Doctor Who stuff.
It's not just Doctor Who as well, is it? I mean,
no,
there's
loads
of other
like
stuff
that is just
lost,
things,
lost forever, gone.
But going off track slightly, the recovery of lost Doctor Who stuff is quite amazing, really.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And the guys who've done it, that's
hats off to them.
Yeah, all credit to them for doing it. And there's obviously rumours that there's other found episodes hiding in people's garages and stuff, and I don't know whether it's true or not, but you kind of think, if you've got it,
hand it over.
Hand it over, yeah. What does it do for
Stop
you?
sitting on it.
It's because it's mine. Oh, mine. You can't have it.
You'd get more credit and fame if you wanted it by releasing it. And
you would have the appreciation of Doctor Who fans across the globe for the rest of your lifetime and beyond.
Yes.
Whereas if you're found to be sitting on it, we'll just think you're a selfish cock.
Yeah. I'll leave that in because you're right.
Don't be a selfish cock.
Yeah.
Get it out from under your settee and share it with the wider world, and we will love you forever. All sins will be wiped.
Yeah. And I read ages ago that someone had something and they wanted the BBC to pay them a whole load of money for it, and you think,
That's a shocker.
I don't know. I suppose, people get motivated by money, don't they?
Yeah, for a quick buck.
Yeah. But
There's 10 of beans in episode 3 of Web of Fear. It's yours, mate. All for 10 of beans. I don't mind. I'm proud. I just need beans. Got to feed a family, ain't I?
But they found episodes in, film tins, mislabeled, in sheds in Ghana and stuff like that.
I know, yeah.
It's mad, but
it's because they sell this stuff abroad, don't they? And how it's stored abroad is I mean, it's purely in their hands. So they could just find this stuff, mislay the original tin, stick it in another tin for up the Khyber or whatever it is, and off you go.
I wonder if any more will be ever found. It feels like
I know, you kind of think, if they haven't been found now, after they've scoured every corner of the globe, will they ever?
I mean, then when they recovered Enemy of the World now? And
oh man,
what was the other Troughton one that they brought back for the
Web
50th?
Of Fear.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for the 60th they'll say, "Oh, we found something," but yeah, it does feel a bit like as time goes on, the chances of finding anything get less and less, and if people are holding on to things, just let them go. It seems so selfish to do that for no gain other than to be able to think, "Oh, I've got this." Well, that is absolutely pointless. But anyway, there you go. So back to the collections. They are brilliant. I love watching them, and there is so much stuff on them that I can't watch it all.
You're right, actually.
I haven't got that much time. To be able to do that with everything else that there is to watch and do, and but the term exhaustive in terms of the coverage they give to a season is apt, because it's pretty much everything. I think
there's a lot of it, isn't there? Well, we interviewed Chris Chapman, didn't we? Who does a lot of the documentaries.
Yeah, that man
a lot of the behind the scenes
about the range.
He really does.
Yeah, he knows what's going on.
Get hold of Chris Chapman.
And
buy him a Guinness or something. To let him open up. Well, he's a lovely guy as well, and a lot of the stories that he shared with us are actually some ways quite touching, and a lot of those things wouldn't have come about if not for the collection DVDs themselves, really, because there was that story of filming with Katie Manning back at Oldbourne, where they filmed The Demons back in the 70s. And there's that wonderful moment where Katie just goes out on her own. Chris doesn't know where she's going to go with this, but follows her with the camera anyway. And of course, we get this wonderful, wonderful story from Katie, which was just heartwarming, really, really beautiful. And we wouldn't have that if these collections weren't around, if they didn't need content, if they
exactly, and also the fact that they're budgeted for as well. It's one thing to have the collections, but it's another thing to have specially made, brand new, episode-specific documentaries, Behind the Sofa, Matthew Sweet Meeting.
Oh, they're good.
All of this stuff. I mean, none of those things are, small undertakings. Might be a small crew. It's Chris Chapman, camera guy, sound guy. But, they're travelling to places, they're doing, a big thing on it in terms of time and stuff. And
they've got to edit it or put it all together afterwards, which takes time. People don't realise those things,
No,
Geoff.
they don't. No, and I mean, I
got to spend time with this stuff, and it's all lovingly done as well. And because when you think about it, what other TV or film multimedia franchise is there that has such a wealth of additional bonus content, extras, whatever you want to call it, on the back of it? There isn't anything. There is nothing out there. If you look at a lot of old TV series, so I've got in my hands season 12, right, Doctor Who. So that was, when was that? 1976, thereabouts. There's nothing from 1976 that has anything like this. Interviews with actors, the behind the sofa, which is my favourite thing completely. All the old extras from the previous DVD releases, plus new stuff, plus quite often new commentary, plus quite often new special effects on the occasional story. It's really amazing. And you're right. Do you know what? Because I was thinking when you were saying this, because I wasn't originally gonna buy these either when they first started, and it wasn't until I was actually at work, and one of my clients, who's a bit of a Doctor Who fan, I say a bit, he's a massive Doctor Who fan. Puts me to shame, but he said he got it, and I was talking to him about it, and I said, "Is it worth it?" He goes, "Oh yeah, it's really, really worth it." And by this time, it had already been out, and I think stock was starting to dry up a little bit. So I kind of panic bought, went online, bought it from Amazon. Actually, I didn't have to go eBay, thankfully, and I got it through. But what I got was actually a bunch of dodgy discs. The sound was well off on the Sontaran Experiment. The updated special effects on Revenge of the Cybermen didn't work. And I think it was the same on the Ark in Space, and there was all kinds of errors. But the BBC put out, they obviously knew this was an issue. Yeah. They put out a kind of a recall and said, look, if you send your disc in, or let us know, we'll just send out a whole bunch of new discs.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
That's what
they
I did.
Do that.
They replaced it. It was brilliant.
I had to replace something. I can't remember what the error was on it. It was the sort of thing where you think, it doesn't really matter. But
it does matter.
They're replacing it. This was a minor one. It was like a typo or something.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think.
So I wouldn't mind that, actually.
No, it's fine. But
because sometimes those errors become collectors' things in themselves, don't they?
Well, like my Avatar poster that proudly declares,
I don't believe this.
From the director of
flipping podcast for the last 6 weeks, he's snuck in an Avatar reference.
From the director.
Apologies, listeners. Please bear with Geoff.
From the director of Titanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Titanic.
Oh, so I wonder if that's worth anything. What was I going to say about the collection?
Idea.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like when DVDs and stuff first, started coming out.
The wealth of extras.
Lot of VAM, value-added material.
Value-added material.
But there's less and less of it now, and really, actually, two of the best ones that I can think of were the Avatar 3-disc release, which was that was exhaustive.
But again, that's a multi-million-dollar film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. But even like when the Marvel films come out, for example, you're lucky if you get 3 or 4 featurettes, which reuse a lot of the same clips in them, and they're nothing amazing. The Alita 4K had a really good documentary with them, and the Marvel films they put on the assembled things on Disney Plus, which are like hour and a half documentaries about them, and they are really good. And they obviously stick them there to make you go sign up rather than buying the physical release. But the days of packed DVDs or Blu-rays seem to be kind of long gone, really.
I think it's also to try and keep the price down as well, because the price on these things generally tends to fall quite rapidly. A sort of vanilla DVD release, or maybe one with a few little extras, some marketing and promo material that you've probably seen 1,000 times even before the film comes out. But I mean, it gives you more for your money, that's for sure. And I think having already acquired the entire run of stories on DVD. I have them all, and I pretty much had them all before I started buying these Blu-ray. So that was what initially kind of made me more hesitant. It's just, I spent like millions of dollars.
Yeah, whereas I didn't have all of that already, and I stopped buying the DVDs when I think there was a talk about the collection coming out, and also they were expensive for, a DVD. I was at the point where I was like, do you know what, I can't, I'm not spending that sort of money on them.
The DVDs would always come out for around 20-25 quid initially, but you give it a year and they drop to like $5.99, $6.99, something like that. And that's the price bracket I bought most of, if not all of mine at, was when they came right down.
I mean, I don't have a problem. Like, I bought the Power of the Doctor steelbook, the first steelbook I bought. Was that 20 quid? To me, that's
actually for those I've paid full whack for them. Yeah,
and that's worth it. And I like to get a physical release in a nice box and stuff like that. If they do it, so I don't. I know a disc doesn't cost much to make and stuff, and sometimes people say, "Oh, this is really expensive for how much is on there." I think it's not really about that as such. It's about what's the the standing of the thing. How popular is it? How much will it sell for? What's the what's the rights involved, and all of that sort of stuff.
Actually
music,
paying people to make these things.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Well.
Someone's still got to be paid for it. Actors will have percentage deals, and it's a bit different. But you go to a concert and it's £250,000 show a night. It's going to cost you 150 quid for a ticket. You're not going to get that for 35 quid unless you want to sit behind a pillar. It's stuff that costs will cost to do, and there's always a line on it where something is unaffordable and not worth it. But like with the collection sets, they are worth the money.
I think so.
And if we're not buying them, then there's no money to pay for the making of the documentaries and stuff like that.
They just won't make them. Will
no,
they?
And the range will dry up.
If you remember as well, when we spoke to Chris, I asked him if they'd ever do like a Blake 7 collection style release. I mean, I would kill for that. I would love it. I think he would like it as well. His response was, though, there just isn't the market for it. I guess with Doctor Who, you have a growing global audience that just seems to get, and it's growing. It just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And there's a real market for it. You will at the very least break even on the cost of making these things. But with Blake 7, it's not something that has been made anymore. Hasn't been made since 1980, 81, I think, or something like that. And it's as good as Doctor Who was in the 70s, if not better in so many ways. And there's so much stuff that could go behind it. But I guess it's too niche. That's the problem with a lot of these things. It's just too niche.
That's it with at the end of the day, it's all a bit about business, and the creative aspect is of course important, but no studio or whatever is going to throw however much money at something if they don't think there's a chance of making it back. It's just that's what it boils down to.
Commercial reality, my friends.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. But you're right, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
If no one remembered Avatar, there wouldn't be more films coming. That's how it works.
Nobody remembered it for about 12 years, I think, mate.
Didn't they? Only enough to spend $500 million on a thing.
Yeah. I'm just winding you up. You should see his face, listeners. Say anything negative about Avatar and the steam starts coming off his eyebrows. Look at that. Look at him go. He's like a kettle. It's like an espresso machine or dialed up to 11.
So when they started putting Doctor Who out on VHS, did you buy it?
I did, mate. Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm glad you went back that far. It's probably before your time, but I do remember back in the day.
Why don't you explain what VHS is to anyone who's listening who has no idea?
It's basically a massive tape that used to put into a brick of a machine that sat under your tiny telly. And if you were lucky, it would actually give you a picture after loads of picture noise and sounds kind of breaking up and everything else. It would always be quite fuzzy. No, they were a lot of fun. I do remember, actually, I first saw Revenge of the Cybermen in the newsagents outside my school. And it was a ridiculous amount of money. It was like $14 billion to buy it. Well, it's probably 50 quid or something like that. But 50 quid in the 80s, mate, that was just well out of my pocket money league. I would have had to work like a slave for years to accumulate anything like that. So that was never an option. But I did used to look at it longingly. I wonder why it had the wrong logo and everything on it. It's the wrong Cyberman. It's like Earthshock Cyberman. It's like, what? Yeah. But there was something kind of magical about it. So I didn't buy that one, and I think there was a couple more that were around about that sort of price, but I didn't do that. But when we used to have a video recorder, which is the machine into which the cassettes would be plugged. Okay, people who don't remember, we used to rent it. I say we, it was me. As soon as I was old enough to rent a video recorder, because we didn't have one at home, I went out, signed up, got it home, and the first thing I rented was a bunch of Doctor Who DVDs, along with a load of other stuff. And that was really the first time I'd seen a lot of the old stuff.
Yeah.
So I did rent that Revenge of the Sidemen, and I thought, oh god, this is a bit naff actually. It's not that good. I was a bit disappointed. I'm like, because I'd read the novel like loads of times. It's actually not a bad novel at all if you got no idea of the story. But I thought, oh Christ, this is pretty awful. So I wasn't massively impressed. But after that, what they did, I think it was either late 80s or early night, must have been late 80s, I think. They released a bunch more, which were a lot cheaper. I think they were about 15 or 20 quid. And I think Robots of Death was amongst that. So was The Five Doctors. And I seem to recall The Brain of Morbius and The Talons of Wen Chiang. And they were like all... But all the episodes were like chunked together. They were spliced together. So you literally start watching it, and then 3 hours later, in the case of Talons of Wen Chiang, it would finish. And it wasn't a great way to experience Doctor Who. And again, I was thinking,
well, it's not designed to be like that, is it?
No, exactly. That's it. They're not designed to be feature films. It's not a feature film cut into 6 pieces. No. It is 6 individual stories. Or they follow that structure of leaving on a cliffhanger, having the sort of peak towards the end in Act 3, if you like, or however you're going to break it down. So very rarely are they designed to be spliced together as a movie. I think things like, I think some of the Saywood stories probably get away with that. Things like Revelation of the Daleks, Earthshock do work as an omnibus thing, but The Brain of Morbius doesn't have the pace. It doesn't sustain. So that was, those were my first sort of VHS forays, if you will. But then a little bit later on, they re-released those cut into their actual proper episode format, and a lot of the material which had been taken out was popped back in, so that was good. And they also at the time released, I think there was the Daleks on like a 2-pack VHS, which I snapped that up. There was the Ark in Space. I seem to recall, I think again it was Talons of Wen Chiang, 5 Doctors, the usual. It was always the same ones. It was always Robots of Death and the 5 Doctors were always seem to be the first titles released, because I think they were the first ones that were released when the range first appeared on DVD, late 90s. So yeah, that was Robots of Death. Actually, that is one I really enjoyed from the off, because it's so good.
Seen as the most likely to sell, I guess.
It's so tightly plotted. It's brilliant. I mean, Chris Boucher was an absolute genius when it came to with a lot of his writing. I think the only one of his stories that falls down a bit for me is Image of the Fendal, which has some great ideas but doesn't quite seem to hang together. But of course, Chris Boucher went on to script edit Blake 7, and a lot of that, a lot of what he did in Doctor Who kind of carries through and evolves in a much more kind of adult tone. And so him and Terry Nation kind of working on those things together, and eventually, and less Terry Nation, more Chris Boucher as the series went on. So by the end of it, really, it's all Chris Boucher. It's not really, Robert Holmes wrote for Blake 7 as well. So a lot of great stories in that for him. But again, I'm digressing. Like you with Avatar, it's me with B7. So apologies for that. Let's get back on track. So what is your favourite feature from the box sets then, from the collection?
So my favourite piece of VAM on the collection sets, really anything with Katie Manning. She's just brilliant at all times, lovely, and she's so into it, and also like her Twitter presence as well. And when you see pictures of her at conventions, like some of our friends that we talked to met her at London Film Comic Con recently. She's just absolutely,
full of sunshine.
Yeah, she is full of love for the show and the fans, and everything she does with it. And I mean, everyone is connected to the show, but Katie just sort of has an abundance of it. So watching her on screen.
Absolutely.
Is just really good, and I really like the behind the sofa stuff as well. I think
that's my favourite.
Yeah,
I do enjoy that,
and it's nice to see those big names from the show, watching stuff back, and also I quite like it when you get an actor watching something that they're not in. An episode of not of their time, and also I like that they have people like Sacha Dhawan's done some.
Oh yes, he was looking at some of the master stories, wasn't he?
Yeah.
From one of the Pertwee season 8, I think it was.
And again, I think obviously they get paid for their time, but I think if people weren't. They're not going to get paid an enormous amount for doing something like that.
No, I think it's minimal. They mostly do it for love, I reckon.
Exactly, yeah. It's a day I'm not working and anything else, we'll go do it, and I think that's brilliant. And then the stuff with Matthew Sweet, where he meets people. I think I watched the one with Matthew Waterhouse, which he goes to his house, doesn't he? And he goes down to the beach and stuff with him. Was
that
really
Matthew
good.
Sweet, or was that Toby Haydock?
He's done
spends
some
the
as well.
weekend. Yeah, Toby spent the weekend with.
Was it okay? Yeah. Matthew Sweet, maybe he tends to do.
Matthew Sweet has done a lot of the conversations
in studio stuff.
Behind, they're behind the set. There's a couple of high stools and a bit of a backdrop, and they just go at it.
He did a really nice one with Colin Baker on his recent set. I haven't watched the Nicola Bryant one yet, but I heard that was really good. So
it's got Michael Grade on there as well.
Yes, I wanted to watch that as well to find out why he did what he did. The bastard. So
most hated man in Doctor Who fandom, Michael Grade.
So, tell me about your New Who collection, because that's stuff sort of
my New Who collection
much easier to get.
It is actually. Yeah, so I do have and I know you have this as well, Geoff, because we have talked about this previously. The season 1 box sets in the shape of a TARDIS, a cardboard TARDIS. Which actually is downstairs. I should have brought that up so we could marvel at its amazing beauty.
It is good.
Except it's kind of warped a bit, actually.
Yes,
so
mine's
I've had to pass stuff on top of it, try and bring some of the shape back. But that was pretty cool.
When season 1 went out, I watched the first 3 episodes. One per week, and then I was working, and then I missed a couple, and then I was like, okay, I've kind of missed the boat a little bit now.
Oh, I'm shocked.
And then when that set came out, I think it was like £60, and I remember buying it in HMV in Guildford and watching it all in a weekend. And then when Christmas Invasion came on, I got a copy through some means that meant I had to handwrite the label on it, which I then kept in that box. I might even still have it in there until the season 2 release came out, which I bought.
Sounds like a very sinister transaction, Mr. Geoff.
And then I bought the season 2 one, which had a lenticular cover, which was a slipcase.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's all worn out now, and
is it?
faded.
Mine still works.
It's
kind of with the it is, isn't it? Rose Tyler has some sort of weird shiny.
That's it. Yeah, it's you take the transparent slipcase off, which has got Tennant and Billy on it, and then there's the box has got something, and then the series 3 set was sort of slightly shiny, kind of gold stuff on it.
Yes, yeah.
Series 4 maybe was just kind of
Series 4, I think, has a 3D effect again, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Behind them, it's a time vortex, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the specials maybe had something similar. And then Series 5, was there something special about that? So I remember Series 6 has got a moulded silence face on it, which I thought was really cool. And then I went to try to put it on the shelf, and I realised it was a massive pain in the neck because it's not a flat cover, so nothing lines up against it brilliantly.
Hold on, I have Series 5.
Yeah.
That one, silver, tin.
Oh, I didn't have that one. I think I've just
that's special, that is.
Is it?
Look at that. That's quite nice on the inside.
Oh, maybe.
Very satisfying closure operation.
I think mine's just in a... I'll have to check that. My Series 6 has got the silence on the front.
Specials.
Series 7...
Series 7 was a bit dull, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, my Series 8 is in a
sleeve.
That's it. Yeah, she's got a cardboard sleeve. Series 8 has got a TARDIS cover. When you push the button, it makes a noise.
Oh, I didn't get that one. I just got the standard Blu-ray.
But I think the battery must be failing because now it's like it's a bit drawn out now.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's a bit agonised.
Yeah.
Poor thing's in pain. Put it out of its misery.
Yeah, probably. I don't know how to get the battery out. Series 9 has just got that great image of 12 and Clara running as something's blowing up in the background. And then Series 10 is just 12 and Bill and Nardole hanging out.
Yeah, that's a standard
TARDIS
case, isn't
it? Yeah, Series 11 has got a lenticular cover. Series 12 doesn't have anything special.
That's the kind of the white cover.
Yeah, it's lovely art, but it didn't
nice
do
artwork.
anything. And
No.
Flux, has Flux got anything special to it? Don't think so. Just got that great image of all the coloured bands and stuff flying everywhere. And then I bought the Power of the Doctor steelbook, which is the first one I bought. And I know we've got friends like Ethan who get all of them. And there's people who are desperate for the Series 9 steelbook. Yeah. It's really expensive. I saw William Who tweeting about it being like $1,000 on eBay.
Was it?
So, but it's it's one of those things where if you and ah like I did over the season
for
12
too long,
collection,
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone, and you'll regret it. And you might think, it's £50, but it'll end up costing way more, or you'll just simply never get it. And it's a bit like concert tickets in a way. Like, I booked quite a few gig things recently, and you can't faff around on it. I'm not sure about that. So just get it, because in the time you take the faff, there'll be more gone.
You see, now this is quite easy for you and I to sit here as slightly aged adults who both run our own businesses to say that.
That is true.
If you're 15, 16 years old, you're a big Doctor Who fan, and you've either got a little part-time job delivering newspapers where you're paid nothing much more than slavery wages, to be honest. It is difficult to get these things.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
There has to be a line drawn within the makers of this stuff that, you can only get so much from your fan base. Yes, people like us, if we got the cash, although, to be honest, even most of it, I have to hide it from my missus so she doesn't see how much I've actually spent on this stuff. But it's, there has to be a line. And if a lot of these people, I wouldn't have been able to afford half of this stuff that, when I was growing up. No chance.
I think that...
and even now, with all the Big Finish stuff, I mean, that's a major investment, just buying all those things. So
I think a lot of stuff is... they aim at a specific market. So, like, the collection sets are clearly aimed at collectors and probably older audience.
And people who like physical media, perhaps.
And then they'll release the... the sort of jewel case, the not special edition packaging releases, which are more for, people who want it but don't want to get the special set, special box, or necessarily afford it or whatever. And I think, there's they do that with various other things, like album releases come out. You just download it or stream it, or you can pay extra to get a really nice box set version of it, or coloured vinyl now. Big Finish do that sometimes, don't they? And various other things. So it's different different audience types.
Yes. Actually, just talking about vinyls, have you ever indulged in any of those Doctor Who stories on vinyl?
No, I haven't got a vinyl player. I'm not that old or cool enough to have one.
Oh, crikey. We need to have a chat, mate. I mean, to be honest, I haven't either, actually. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, there was a lot of talk about Genesis of the Daleks and another one, another Tom Baker called the Pescatons, which were both out on vinyl. And I think my uncle, one of my uncles, had Genesis of the Daleks. He also had Geoff Wayne's War of the Worlds, and I was more taken actually with War of the Worlds than I was with Genesis of the Daleks, which seemed a bit kind of clunky by comparison. But he was all over it. He loved it. You know, it was part of his enshrined collection of stuff, and they seem to be coming back. They've sort of phased in and out of popularity over the years. I think you're right. I think it is a very niche audience because not everybody has a turntable these days.
Vinyl is I mean, it's definitely resurged in popularity, and the fact that you can go into Sainsbury's and they've got a little vinyl selection of stuff available. And,
they do. Yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff from Sainsbury's over the years, actually.
And
surprises me.
What
my 20-year-old self, if he was to look in the future and see me buying records from Sainsbury's, would literally kill me.
Yeah, you'd think
he wouldn't be able. You know, say you've got to go to a dirty, grungy record shop in the back end of a high street.
You'd think this.
Otherwise, you're just not cool. And they would literally be full of fag smoke inside these things as well. The whole thing would stink of cigarettes and other stuff, which was probably worth not investigating too closely.
Big Finisher put out like the Green Death on. No, not the Green Death. The one that we spoke to Lauren Cornelius about that she did with David Tennant, the Creeping Death. That came out on I think green vinyl.
Right.
And they've done a couple of others, and quite a few bands release stuff. I saw something. I can't remember who it was for. Yeah. Maybe, it was Springsteen. He put his last album out on emerald green vinyl. To match
a lot of them do it.
Stuff.
Makes it a little bit collectible.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I love to get a nice collectible like that. I bought the U2 release their Innocence and Experience Blu-ray in a box, and it comes with a USB light bulb because they had a bit of a light bulb hung over the stage, and the light bulb lights up when you plug it in. It came with a couple of badges. Some stencils, so you could do kind of like graffiti art. Some of the iconography. I had a book of photos.
Have you indulged in any of that stuff?
No, because I don't want to ruin it.
There you go. It's weird, isn't it? Because these things are packaged up.
Yeah.
But but rarely do you break them out of the seal.
But then on other
actually
stuff,
use these things.
Yeah.
It's just a case of having them.
Yeah,
and
that's
a thing which that's the whole benefit of physical media, or something physical that you can touch and hold and keep and put on a shelf and display or whatever. You don't get that with streamed content.
No.
I mean, a lot of streamed content is getting better because you will have on Disney Channel they'll show they'll do a Marvel film or a Star Wars series, and there'll be a bunch of extras to go with it.
And you can get it in 4K, but it's never. Well, at the moment, it's never going to be the bit rate that
the bit rate's down on streaming, isn't it? Because it has to be, otherwise
you
be
wouldn't
buffering
be able to
for
watch
hours.
It, but I buy Funko Pops sometimes and stuff, and I always take them out of the box. And I saw this video on Instagram a while ago, and someone said they got into a heated discussion with someone who told them, "Why are you taking your Pops out of the boxes? They're worth more when they're in the box." and they were like, "Okay, here you go. Put it back in the box. Now it's worth 5 times
Job
what
done.
It was."
Yeah, that's it. As soon as you take it out of the box, you lose 50 quid off the value.
It's like your car when you drive it off the fork. It halves the value. But a pop is not sealed. So it's
right.
No, that was the joke about it.
Back in.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it back in its box. But I don't buy stuff to let it accumulate in value. I buy it because I want it, and I'll put it out on display or whatever.
So you don't have so many DVDs that you were saying, the Doctor Who DVDs.
I've got quite a few. Shelf full. But what I've been doing when I buy a collection set is seeing what I had. So I had quite a lot of Pertwee, and I've got quite a bit of Baker, Tom. Sometimes in my local area, people will put stuff out in a box at the end of their path and just have a sign that says, free.
Oh, okay.
And so we gave away load of DVDs like that and toys and things that we didn't need. So I've done that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've tried to give Doctor Who DVDs that I no longer need to friends. But I don't have many friends, so it was unsuccessful. And the people who I did know who declined the offer of a Doctor Who DVD, I don't talk to anymore on that basis. No, that's not true. But I didn't know anyone who wanted them.
Yeah.
So I've still got quite a lot of the DVD releases and stuff, but I'm now not buying any more of those to wait for the collection.
No, that does make sense actually.
I don't have a urgent need to watch anything particular that I can't not wait for the collection to come out at some point. So eventually I'll have a shelf of that, and with the new releases, obviously there won't be anything for a while now, but I bought the Power of the Doctor steelbook, and it was lovely, but I don't think I'll get into steelbooks now because it's too late to get most of the old ones. I don't want to pay grand for series.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've got a few steelbooks now actually. I started buying the animated stories in steelbook form, actually starting with the Power of the Daleks, and I kind of like it. I've also, I like the steelbooks because I bought a few James Bond steelbooks. Actually, that's another series which has a ton of extras, but again, I digress. And for me, it's like, because I really want to see those animated stories as soon as they're available. I kind of can't wait. So getting them on the steelbook gives them it gives them a value which is additional to the content, isn't it? Again, it's that physical thing. So if they appear, and I'm sure they will appear on the collection Blu-rays, and there'll be a bunch of other stuff to go along with them, and maybe some of the animations have been redrawn or something, then at least I've got this steelbook edition, which is different slightly
that would
to
be worth
that
keeping.
version. So that kind of makes sense. And then recently with Flux and the Power of the Doctor, I bought those on steelbook as well, and they do look nice, and they take up slightly less space as well than these big jewel cases.
I should have
space
bought
right now.
The Flux steelbook was really nice. I should have gone for that.
Really nice. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it right here. Look, there she
is.
Oh, that's Power of the Doctor behind that.
Oh yeah. So I have quite a collection of stuff, but I don't feel that any fan needs to be able to say, oh yeah, I've got this, that, or whatever on DVD, Blu-ray, or whatever to be an authentic fan.
I wondered where you were going with that for a moment, Geoff.
Some people have that sort of attitude, and if you like the show, you like the show, and you absolutely you access it in the best way that is works for you.
Quite right.
Stream,
I mean, this is it. It exists in so many different forms now, doesn't it? You've got the live broadcasts, which are always great. We should all definitely tune into those where and when we can. But if you can't, it doesn't really matter because it is going to be available on iPlayer or obviously Disney Plus if you're abroad going forward. And we get DVDs and we get CDs, we get vinyls, all that stuff. It's incredible.
We
it's
are
a wealth of content.
Yeah, it is. We are extremely lucky, I think,
lucky
as a fandom to have the volume of stuff that we do. Like you said, what other show has.
But I'll tell you what, mate, if you drop any of that volume of stuff off, then people will kick off.
Well, they would do because you're so used to it by now.
So kick off.
What other show has the wealth of not just value-added stuff, but books and comics and the original stuff. Original stuff.
Original content.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. There's a lot of love for this show around the world by obviously the fans. We all love it, but so do the makers of this thing.
The people who make it.
Whether it's a story that you don't really like doesn't necessarily mean that the person who wrote it or directed it or produced it has no respect or love for the show. Of course they do. It's part of the reason why it's such a great gig. So it's and we're lucky that they continue to put stuff out for us because we soak it up as fans and we love it. We love it. I'm never going to get rid of my DVDs, by the way. I've seen a lot of people trade them in, sell them off, whatever, in favour of the collections. Even though a lot of the extras and VAM is available on the collections and more besides, I don't know, they just look nice. They look lovely.
Yeah,
they
stacked
do. Up there with their spines.
I haven't got the space for them, so I have to trade them.
I'm taking up a huge amount of room, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, though, What is when you're watching an animation, just going back to the animated stories for a little while, because these are great. Do you, where the option is available, watch in colour or black and white?
I'd watch it in black and white to be true to what it was. Yeah.
And yet it isn't actually true to what it was in some ways, is it? Because it's animated and it's changed a bit.
No, you smart ass, it's not. Yeah. But it is, it's trying to be as it should have been or would have been, because you couldn't have had it in colour.
I think some of that has changed slightly. I think it changed with, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Fury of the Deep, I think it was the Macra Terror, an early Troughton story, pushed it out a little bit and actually went slightly away from the set designs and camera angles.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they kind of went a bit more experimental. So actually we can increase the scale of this slightly.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I think kind of like adding war to a shot is okay, but I suppose I just like the idea of kind of recreating it as close to
as intended.
As it was. Do you watch the remastered effects versions of stuff?
That's a good question, actually. I do. Yeah, I do. And it's interesting watching some of those now. Actually, a lot of the early ones look more dated than the original effects. I was watching The Ark in Space a little while back, which, when it came out on DVD in the early 2000s, I think, or mid-2005, 6, something like that. And it was updated with CGI effects. The actual space station, the rocket, the scout rocket that kind of launches out, the escape rocket, that's the word I was looking for. But they look really ropey. So you might as well just watch it with the original ones. Having said that, the best updated special effects are the ones that are a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
And I like the one in the Hartnell story, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, because that actually, the updated special effects in that actually look like they could have been done in the 60s.
Right, yeah.
So the original effect of the Dalek saucer going across London was really really ropey. It is quite clearly something balanced poorly on some strings, and it doesn't look good. Whereas in the updated SFX, it's a bit of CGI. It's the kind of saucer you would see in the modern series, but in grayscale against the black and white background, it looks brilliant. It looks retro, but believable, more believable than the original effect. So I do enjoy those.
It's weird. It starts to get into George Lucas territory of tinkering endlessly, and I like to see things, as the product of its time, because the rest of it's going to be as it was. So you chuck in a CG spaceship, but everything else is still going to be wobbling and made of cardboard.
Well, that's what I mean about the one in the Dalek Invasion of Earth, because it looked like it belonged there. It looked, actually, even though it wasn't of the time, it looked like it could have been of the time.
Yeah,
it just
if you can do that with it, then that's
brilliantly. And I was
watching.
I've been watching season 17 on and off over the last few months, and I was watching Nightmare of Eden quite recently, and there are some effects in there which are pretty decent. Some of the just laser gun effects, K9's blaster.
Yeah, see something like that
looks a bit better.
Enhancement, I think.
Yeah, but I think the Ark in Space ones, particularly with the shot of the actual Nervous Space Beacon space station, looks awful. It looks awful on CGI now. There's no texture to it. There's no depth or anything. The lighting's okay. It looks great, and it did look good at the time. I remember being quite impressed by it. But nowadays, it looks. Just give me the bottle tops and washing up. The washing up liquid bottle that the original model was
that's
based
the
on.
thing. If it's an old one that they've they've enhanced it some years ago, it's going to look rubbish now.
Yeah, I think. There are, if memory serves, there are special effects on Earthshock, the Fifth Doctor story on season 19, and they're pretty good.
Are they? Maybe they were more recent.
They're a little bit more, again, a bit more subtle. There's some really nice shots of the space freighter, which looks more like it was inspired by. Well, it looks more like it belongs in a Cameron movie than a Doctor Who, and I know originally that was what they wanted to achieve with it, and the original model. Actually, the original model is pretty good anyway, but they just updated it with that and some nicer laser gun effects again. And I think when Adric is crashing into the Earth, that shot's quite a bit better,
right?
And it does actually enhance the story. It doesn't feel like it's kind of just bolted onto it.
Yeah.
So I think those ones are pretty good. And of course, the thing is, you've always got the option to switch it off and watch it.
Well, that's
anyway,
it. Yeah, you don't have to watch it. It's not like they've done
but it's
it
always fun to compare it.
But this has been a good journey into Doctor Who home media. I'm now going to go and watch my season 2 collection set.
I'm so like season. So it's Dalek Invasion of Earth is on that, isn't it? Is that season 2?
I'll just get it.
Bastard. Look at him. There he goes, digging into his little bag of things, pulls it out. Hasn't he? You haven't even taken the wrapper off yet.
No, I haven't.
Look at that.
Planet of Giants. I'm sure it should be Planet of the Giants. Dalek Invasion of Earth.
No, it's just Planet of Giants.
Yeah.
That's the official title, my friend.
The
Dalek
Rescue.
Invasion of Earth, yeah.
The Romans.
I love the Rescue. I love the Romans. I love the Web Planet.
Crusade. Space Museum. Chase and Time Meddler.
I'm not such a fan of the Space Museum.
I've not seen many of these. I'll be honest.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Romans?
No. No.
Definitely in for a treat there.
Has in conversation with Matthew Sweet, with William Russell and Maureen O'Brien.
Yeah.
Behind the Sofa, it doesn't say who's on them. Flight Through Eternity, full-length documentary looking at the early years of Doctor Who. Collectibles documentary examining 60s Who merch. That might be quite good. Missing episode reconstructions. Watch Crusade with its 2 missing episodes reconstructed with off-air soundtracks and photos.
That's the telesnaps again. Yeah.
The Storyteller, a special short produced to launch this set.
Now, just on that, because that was the trailer, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
now,
they are
the trailers for these things are just getting bigger and better, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah.
Like I mean, they're like mini movies or mini episodes in themselves. And I think
and they carry the characters on and doing something new with them, or the actors in a sort of spoofy thing like the one with Louise Jameson where she's got the robot serving her in the garden and stuff like that. But like Perry and Ace were moved on.
So, exactly.
They've been brilliant. Yeah.
And you do wonder if that video with Ace at the was it season 25, I think, wasn't it? That release with that trailer was on, whether that kind of sowed the seeds for for seeing her in Power of the Doctor. I mean, certainly the book, wasn't it?
Yes,
Childhood's End sort of sprang from that, and the history of Ace is kind of or the future history of Ace, or what happened to Ace when she left the Doctor, was first mentioned really on film in that trailer. Yeah, I made a bit of a fudge of that. Apologies, listeners, for
I know what you
being
mean.
slightly confusing. It's early. We don't normally do these things early in the day.
No,
I've got work to do, mate.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Too, really.
Look at that. We're sat here talking about Doctor Who when I've got a living to earn. What's that all about, eh?
On that note, we should probably sign off for now, but I hope you've enjoyed our little discussion about
a rambling discussion.
Doctor Who home media, and we'll be back again soon with some more exciting podcasts. We need to prepare a Christmas one soon, and we've got a couple of guests that we're trying to fit in as well before the year closes. So, dear listener, we will see you next time.
Stay tuned, and bye for now.